Good day, my name is Salma Fadl, and today we will be going into the global journey of Who Gives a Crap. In this video, we will first discuss what they do, who they compete with, and then how they have expanded globally across the years. Later on, we will talk about the specialties and contributions of the founders, a mishap that took place in 2020, what pushed or pulled Who Gives a Crap from Australia to the world, and what the future of globalization may look like for Who Gives a Crap. Let's start with a look at what Who Gives a Crap is meant to be, starting with the phrase that the company wrote to introduce themselves. What if every crap you took made a difference? Who Gives a Crap launched after their CEO Simon Griffiths sat on a toilet paper for 50 hours until the company could get 50,000 Australian dollars from crowdfunding to start mass production. Since its launch in 2012, the value proposition of Who Gives a Crap is their eco-friendly, wallet-friendly toilet paper that sends half the profit it makes to charitable causes for the company's mission to provide everyone around the world with clean water and sanitation. For toilet paper, naturally, homeowners are the consumer base. This is because everyone needs toilet paper, so anyone with a home and toilet can make a difference. Who Gives a Crap is the world's first online toilet paper company, with a few offline retail locations, and it's a successful social enterprise that places emphasis on contributing to society. So let's take a quick look at their competitors. There are many players in the toilet paper industry, all of which stand out in different ways. Firstly, Scott Comfort Plus is Amazon's most popular brand. Vvel is a fellow eco-friendly Australian toilet paper. And finally, Sorbent is the highest rated toilet paper by Australian consumers this year. Now let's talk about how Who Gives a Crap has been expanding across the world, starting with the pace at which they do so. Who Gives a Crap has always intended to internationalize to reach its goal, and hence is considered a born global business. It operates in Australia, manufactures in China, and within 5 years expanded sales to the US, Canada, and the UK. From 2017 to 2020, they have been gradually opening shipping to other European countries. And since 2024, they have been selling in retailers in the US and more recently the UK. As for the scale of their globalization, besides Australia and more recently the US and UK, all their other sales in those countries, as well as Canada and across Europe, are done online. Most of Who Gives a Crap's profits are made online, as after launching their online stores for UK and US customers in 2017, they managed to double their revenue. Post COVID-19, they had sold 300 million toilet paper rolls worldwide and made a total donation of 11 million Australian dollars, sourced from half of their profits as per their business model. They also had their first investor backing of 41.5 million Australian dollars. Finally, let's look at the scope of their expansion. Who Gives a Crap sells their toilet paper to a total of 36 countries, most from Europe. They have also developed and sold other household items, including bamboo tissues, paper towels, recycled garbage bags, and the reusable drain cloth. Let's now talk about the founding forces of Who Gives a Crap, or the team who gave a crap, starting with the man who sat on the toilet to get the company's funding, Simon Griffiths. After studying and working jobs, both conventional and in social work, Simon would learn toilets and clean water were unavailable to 40% of the world's population. Hoping to solve the issue, he looked at some toilet paper in his house one day and thought of the brand Who Gives a Crap. Simon used to do the production himself, but handed it over to partners in China to improve upon environmental friendliness, quality, and production scaling. Next, we'll look at co-founder Danny Alexander, who has always worked as a product designer and has done voluntary work in the past. Now he utilizes his expertise to design quality, eco-friendly, and profitable products. Next, we have co-founder Johan Ratnatunga, who once studied and worked in robotics and computer science, and now works as a strategist for Who Gives a Crap's internationalization. Finally, Vanessa Morris is the creative leader who uses her previous advertising experience to now build the colorful and crass branding of Who Gives a Crap, using humor to assure and entertain potential customers. Now, oh crap, let's talk about a point in Who Gives a Crap's history, where they had seen a huge surge in sales, both to their benefit and unfortunately their detriment. Just 2 years after the company's expansion to Europe, Who Gives a Crap became an online trend after its customers would post about it being the alternative to supermarket brands, which were sold out as a result of toilet paper shortages that followed after the COVID-19 epidemic, which led to sales increasing exponentially for Who Gives a Crap. However, their operations were insufficient in taking on the extra workload, so they had to stop incoming orders and instead prioritize subscribers' pre orders. They even had to make sudden operational changes by taking on more staff and third party relationships, all while countries around the world were making import restrictions due to the pandemic. Now we will talk about why Who Gives a Crap partakes in globalization, starting with why business in Australia alone is insufficient for Who Gives a Crap. Who Gives a Crap's goal is to provide billions of people with clean water and sanitation, and this grand ambition, admirable as it is, cannot be achieved with profits from one country's market alone. Local competitors are also saturating the toilet paper market and are more popular among consumers in Australia. Not only that, Australia also had a small toilet paper market compared to China, which CEO Griffiths realized during initial product development, which led to his shift in production from Australia to China. Next, let's look at what globalization has had to offer to Who Gives a Crap. As mentioned before, Who Gives a Crap needs a larger consumer base, which can only be achieved by entering new markets. Who Gives a Crap could also hire foreign employees to understand different or unique customer needs to improve on their product, which ties into the third point down there, innovation through diversification, where a diverse set of employees can create unique ideas to improve operations and products. Finally, by operating in new locations, Who Gives a Crap can make connections to new partners capable of improving operations or even find partners who can deal with emergency incidents, such as during COVID-19. So, what could Who Gives a Crap do to become more future proof? Well, they could start by opening international offices to get closer to regional consumers and workers, which helps them understand the location better and could help them establish their regional presence. They could also open up shipping to other locations, including those closer to Australia, like New Zealand, which is a neighboring country, China, as it's the manufacturing location, or other Asian countries like India to establish a presence in the east side of the world. However, globalization has become more of a challenge as of late. The US recently started a war alongside Israel against Iran, which affects Chinese exporters. The US has also begun taxing imports from China at 145% since last year. Who Gives a Crap's logistics operations may be disrupted as a result of these geopolitical conflicts. Furthermore, by opening new offices, Who Gives a Crap will need to take on more costs, which will need to be covered by making sufficient sales in new markets, which may not be easy to do. Finally, as an Australian firm, Who Gives a Crap may struggle to understand or have discussions with partners or customers in other countries due to cultural differences, language differences, and other psychic barriers. Thank you for watching my presentation. I hope this was a fruitful and wonderful insight into a social enterprise's global journey. Have a nice day.